On the agenda tonight, we're going to be taking a look at the 2022 Super Bowl halftime show. Hello, Phil here from Wings of Pegasus, and welcome to another analysis video. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. So, this is the first analysis video that I'm doing on hip-hop and rap, and it was asked in the comment section why I haven't featured any hip-hop or rap in the past, and it's because it just hasn't been requested. So this was requested, obviously quite recently, and somebody was asking me about the performance, but because I hadn't seen it, I couldn't comment, so they asked me to do a video on it, so here it is. In this video, we've got Kendrick Lamar, Dr. Dre, Eminem, and Mary J. Blige, I believe, but let's jump into it and see how they get on.
Go ahead and turn it on up. CPT, LBC, yeah, we hook it back up. And when they bang this in the club, they beat you got to get up. Thug homie, drug homies, yeah, they giving it up. Low life, yo life, boy, we giving it up. Taking chances while we dancing in the party for show. Slip my girl by 44 and she crept in the back door. These chickens looking at me strange, but you know I don't care. Step up in this mother, just a swing in my hair. Trick, quit talking, quit walk if you down with the shit. Take a bullet with some and take this dope on this jet. Out of town, put it down for the father of rap. And if you haven't took it crack, shut your trap. Come back, get back, that's the part of success. If you believe in the ass, you'll be relieving your stress.
I was going to jump in here just to mention that I do remember the original lyrics that they used to use, and they do use normally, but it's not as broadcastable, especially for a primetime show. So Snoop Dogg changing it there to Little Busters, I think he said, something like that, but they've had to make these changes. Anyway, let's just jump into this song and the way that we start, because we've got this introduction to it, which is a sample, by the way, and this is something that you'll find with a lot of hip-hop and rap music, is that they use samples. So the same rules apply to this genre as music in every other genre of music, as in we have a fundamental chord progression underneath. You'll have different sections which might be like a verse and then a pre-chorus and a chorus. You have the melody in the background behind the vocalist who's supplying his lyrics over the top. So the intro that we have is a sample taken from the mid-60s from something called The Edge, and this was by David McCullum, and David was a classically trained musician, and you might know him from a TV series that we used to have here in the UK, I don't know about the USA, called The Man from Uncle, and he was the actor that played Ilya Kuryakin, or something like that was the character's name. He's one of the main characters. He had blonde hair. I did used to watch it, but I was very young. But let's have a listen to this sample so you know what I'm talking about. And you had that little bit of synth that came in at the end, and that isn't part of the original composition of The Edge, but it's just that section that you hear in the intro as well. So they do go back to that. And the reason that's important is because it's breaking up the song in exactly the same way that you would have a guitar riff, for example, and then the vocals would come in and you go into your verse, your pre-chorus, your chorus. So it's keeping it interesting. What you'll find is that in a lot of hip-hop music, you get a really simple run or riff, just a hook, something that is going to be throughout the song, but generally it's really catchy. It's why it's called a hook. It means once it's in your head, you cannot get it out of your head. And more often than not, it is really simple. Here, for example, we've just got that sound of the synthesizer coming in with a little bit of pitch shifting going on. It sounds really cool. By the way, it looks like we've got the band all plugged in and playing, but this is definitely the backing track of the original song. This is another thing with the genre. I think people don't mind that guys are rapping over the top of backing tracks. They're not too bothered about having a band there. But I think we do have the band set up, especially later in the performance, because you can hear it really low in the mix, but we do have the backing track going the whole time, and a lot of the musicians are wearing in-ear monitors, so it means that if they are plugged in, if there is a mix of the live band going on, it means that they are playing along with the backing track, probably with a click track going on so that they can keep in time with the backing. So I will hop into it again when I have something else to point out.
Come on, everybody put your hands in the air. Put your hands way up in the air.
Now let me welcome everybody to the Wild Wild West. A state that's untouchable like Elliot Ness. The track is your eardrum like a slug to your chest. Like a vest for your Jimmy in the city of sex. We in that sunshine state where the bomb ass can be. A place where you...
I'm just going to jump in here because I think this was a two-pack tune to begin with, California Love. And listen to the way that we've got these semitones going on. Na 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 na. And we're always just going up semitones. So it means that we get a resolution happening all the time, which means that you go back to the root note of your chord. And that's what's happening. We're going down a tone and then coming up semitones to where we started. So it just takes on a little journey, but this is what I mean about a really simple run that's happening throughout the performance. But what we have in this song is that classic talkbox sound. And you might have noticed this on the channel recently where I've mentioned about this, is when you have a tube in your mouth and you play keys. You can do it with the guitar as well, but it blows the sound of the keys or the guitar into your mouth so that you can talk and have the sound of the keyboard or the guitar coming out your mouth. So it sounds quite mechanical, but it just sounds great. It's one of those effects that you can just tell is being used instantly. But here, it's used really well because it's giving you the melody of the song through this talk box and also using that pitch shifter, which again just adds something extra to it. Have a listen.
Good from Diego to the Bay. Your city is the palm if your city getting paid.
So
Throw up a finger if you feel the same way. Straight put it down, y'all.
You can just hear it coming into the mix just in this pre-chorus. And if you listen to what we've got going on in the background, we've got a horn section in there. We've got that talk box that I mentioned, which is giving you not only the melody of the chorus, so this is our standalone chorus after the verse that we've just had. So again, it's organized like a song. We've got everything going on that you would want to have in a song. It's just that we've got rapping over the top rather than the melodic vocal of actually hitting notes. But this is where the chorus is so important because you get the melodic content of the lead vocal in the chorus.
Yeah, heard up with Drake, now they wanna show me love. When you sell like Eminem, you get plenty of groupie love. Look, homie, ain't nothing changed, hold down, jeez. I see exhibit in the cut it, man, roll up trees. If you watch how I move, you mistake me for a player. I've been hit with a few shells, but I don't walk with a limp. In the hood, in LA, they say it fit.
And notice how, again, really simple riff here, but resolving. Always coming back to that same point and then repeating the riff. So we've got this change between the verse, which is the same riff, but not a lot going on with it. And then as soon as we get into the chorus, you can hear that there's an extra synth sound that's being added, just a more dramatic version of the riff for the chorus, rather than just keeping it the same the whole time. Because you've got the same riff going on all the time, if you don't change it up and sometimes add in the octave below, add in the octave above, which is happening as well, if you can listen out for that, it's going to get boring if you don't have that variation, especially because it's the same riff going on the whole time. By the way, this is 50 Cent, who I don't think I mentioned at the beginning, but I mean, this guy is just I remember years ago, he was just constantly in shape, and he's still in shape. So let's get back into it.
You hot, lately I want to love me like they love. But I let New York to show they tell you I'm low. And the plan is to put the rap game in the choke on. Putting focus, man. My money on my mind. Got a meal on the deal, and I'm still on the run. That's all she said. She feeling my style, she feeling my girls are with it, they buy it, they're ready to go. Okay, look. Bottle full of bug, mama, I got what you need. If you need to fill a bar, I'm alive with sex, I ain't into making love.
Again, in exactly the same way that you'd have with the full band, we're now into the breakdown. So it means that the riff just disappears, and we've got pretty much just a section where it's the vocal and a little bit of percussion, but where people would clap along. So it's exactly that same approach. You got to keep it interesting, even with that same riff going on in the background. Just cut it out, get into that vocal, and then bring it back afterwards, or have a transition into the next song. We'll find out where we're going.
So come give me a hug, you can love. You can find me in the club.
And it was a transition into the next song, Mary J. Blige. Now, this is where we've got our first piece of content that is what I would consider singing, and something that is going to be strict melodically with your lead vocal, because Mary J. Blige is going to be hitting notes here. And this is something about the genre of, rapping, having a vocal that's in your talking voice. It means that you've got potentially limitless longevity with your performances, as we can tell here. We've got guys like Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre, who are coming out probably 20 years afterwards, maybe more than that, and they are nailing the same vocal that they would do 20 years ago because it's in their talking voice. And when you're now looking at a performance that Mary's about to lay down, quite literally, she's hitting notes. This is something that you lose as you get older if you don't keep on practicing, keeping your voice in shape, and do the training. You've got to have your diaphragmatic support, everything going on in order to maintain the singing ability that you had 20 years ago. Whereas when you're not hitting pitches melodically, you don't have to do that training. So just so you guys are aware of that when we get into Mary's performance now.
Dance so we got your in your phone, and so you got to dance for me. Come on, everybody, get on time, 'cause you know we got to get it from. Mary J's in the spot tonight, and I'ma make you feel alright. Come on, baby, just party with me. Let loose and set your body free. Leaving situations at the door, but when you step inside, jump on the floor. Let's get it funky. Let's get crunk upon. Heart again, another lesson learned. You better know your friends, or else you will get burned. Gotta count on me, 'cause I can guarantee that I'll be fine. No more pain, y'all. No more games messing with my mind. No more, no more, no more, no more, no more, no more, no more. I'm tired of this drama.
And there she was, flat out. But still, great vocal performance there, with all of the soul still in her voice and taking it to that place. It's a really good mix that we get of having the rapping, the hip-hop into the R&B, and the soul injected in there from Mary as well, getting into that melodic content vocally. It's such an emotive and expressive style of music, and it's probably why there's a lot of swear words in there, because of the expression of literally shouting and talking and using the expression of your normal voice, how you would to day, rather than how you would do when you're trying to sing melodies, because that is very much, now focusing on the musical aspects of that lead vocal, of having vibrato and breath support and all the things that you need in order to get a note to sing, whereas this isn't singing, it's just attitude. It's putting across the emotion of what you're saying.
Sees everything you ever wanted. One moment. Did you capture it? Just let it slip.
Witty, knees weak, arms are heavy. There's vomit on his sweater already. Mom's spaghetti, he's nervous, but on the surface he looks calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down. The whole crowd goes so loud. He opens his mouth, but the words won't come out. He's choking how? Everybody's joking now. The clock's run out. Time's up. Over. Plow. Snap back to reality. Oh, there goes gravity. Oh, there goes gravity. Choke. He's so mad, but he won't give up. Daddies, he knows he won't have it. He knows his low back to these ropes. It don't matter. He's dope. He knows that, but he's broke. He's so sad that he knows when he goes back to this mobile home. That's when it's back to the lab again, yo. This old rhapsody better go capture this moment. Lose yourself in the music the moment you want. You better never let it go. Only get one shot. Do not.
Interesting here in that, again, we start the song with a guitar riff that's just going to be repeating, but it is just that, with the vocal over the top. And then as we progress into the verse, we get the drums coming in. So we've still got that dynamic change as we would have in a song or any live performance. When we get into the chorus, we've got the same key. We're not changing keys here. It's all the same throughout, but we've got a total change in the cadence of the delivery of the vocal. So it means that Eminem has mixed it up and becomes a lot more strict with that delivery from a timing perspective. The way that it's just that constant delivery of the vocal hitting these points like a drummer would do with the beat. And I think this is what I understand from hip-hop and rap and music. I don't listen a lot to myself, but I'm not even trying to understand it or say that I have any understanding of it, but I think a lot of it is to do with the beat, the timing, the feeling of when Dr. Dre says, taking my time to perfect the beats. They are focusing on a feeling and something that they get with the rhythmic element of not only the drums, but the delivery of the vocal over the top, the way that they're saying the words and the cadence of the words over the top of the backing, over the top of the beat. And I'm not sure exactly what makes a great rapper and what makes a really bad rapper, but there's got to be a reason that some are great.
Still Snoop Dogg and D.R.E.
Guess who's back?
I see you still doing it. Make some noise for Dr. Dre.
It's still Dre Day, AK. Though I'm blowing up, I can keep it home a lot. Cause when I frequent the spots that I'm known to rock, you hear the bass from the truck when I'm on the block. Ladies, they pay homage, but haters say Dre fell off. How homie, the last album was The Chronic. They wanna know if he still got it. They say rap changed. They wanna know how I feel about it.
You ain't up on fame.
Dr. Dre is the name, I'm ahead of my game. Pumping my leaves, still touching the beats. Still not loving police. I still rock them khakis with a cup in the crease. I still got love for the streets, reppin' 213. Still the beats bang, still doing my thing. Since I left, ain't too much change.
I'm representing for them gangsters all across across the world.
And still,
Hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
and still, taking my time to perfect the beat. And I still got love for the streets. It's the DRE.
Representing for them gangsters all across the world.
And still,
Hitting them corners and them lolos, girl.
still, taking my time to perfect the beat. And I still got love for the streets. It's the DRE.
And there we have it. Just to mention about the show aspect that we've got going on here, of course, massively impressive. And a lot of people are referring to this as the best ever halftime show and mentioning that it's legendary, I'm sure, because if you're into this kind of music, getting so many big names performing together must be just rare in itself. But then, because of the style of music, it means that live you can get such a close representation of the original recordings as they sound when you play them at home. So it must have been great to listen to this, being a fan of this music. We also had a great example at the end there. I think it's called Still Dre, the last song that we heard. Really simple piano melody that we've got going on, just being stabbed in there like a riff that is just going to be going through the whole time. As I've said before, really simple, but it's just a hook that's going to catch you the whole time. And I'm not sure whether you'll be able to hear this piano, but I'll give it a go. Okay, so we've got this, we're in B flat, so this is a bit of a weird key to have this riff in, but anyway, we're going from the B flat down, effectively to an F, and these are minor chords, by the way, so B flat minor into an F minor, but really simple riff that's going through the whole time. But then you get these little additions that come in over the top, little bits of keys, little guitar riffs and lines that are going to be repeated, and they're put in there as hooks as well. So it's just a hook fest in the background. I don't think anybody's ever released a song that's been a huge hit in this kind of genre that's had bad production. It is so well produced, and a lot of these guys are just great producers in the studio, and they get these sounds just to pop out, because if it was badly produced, people wouldn't like it as much, because they think, oh, I like the attitude of the song, but it just doesn't sound very good. Whereas you always get a thick bass line, you always get a great drum track on there, you always get great mixing overall of the backing, the instruments, because the ones that pop out that are playing the hooks, you can hear clearly behind the lead vocal, and the lead vocal always sits up front. So you can apply so many rules, not rules, but guidelines that you'd use in other songs that have been used on these songs, especially when you're talking about using samples, because they're effectively taking a song that they know is already popular and a progression they already know is popular. So it's like releasing a cover of a song, but then totally redoing the lyrical content, just rapping over the top. So it's that double whammy of having the attitude of rap, but pairing it with something that was already popular that people are familiar with, because then you don't have to get people on side, you are preaching to the converted because they already liked the song in the first place. And even if they didn't know the song, if it was a very old song, which has happened quite a lot as well, sampling very old songs, then the people that listen to it now think, oh wow, this is great, I love this song, but they don't realize that like 30 years ago other people loved it as well, and it's just a great composition. It's a great set of chords and a great progression that's now been put underneath the rapping. I'm not saying that I listen to this music a lot and I don't know a lot about it, but I can definitely appreciate it on a musical level, all of the work that goes into it, especially from that production standpoint, because it is so well produced. Anyway, thank you guys for requesting for me to take a look at this halftime show. I hope you have enjoyed it. Keep those suggestions coming in the comments section below. As always, let me know what you guys think. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And I'll see you guys at the next one. Rock!